Hello, Safe Harbor. So good to be with you again. Those of you who have not practiced with me, my name is Jen. Absolutely love what I do, and I've been doing it for quite some time now, about 15 years. So I'm glad to be able to share this with you. Today we're going to focus in on, again, of course, some stretching for the movement part of yoga, but the mental part, which I believe is even more important in some cases, is going to be in regards to not drawing or not trying to pour from an empty cup. So let's get started. Um, Now, I understand some of you will be in chairs, some of you will be on mats. I will demonstrate from a chair and also let you know if there's a difference in the actual pose for people on the mat as well. So we'll make that happen. Okay. So everyone here, just to give us a little bit of an idea in the chair, if you have not done chair yoga before, so a relaxed position, of course, sitting back against the chair, feet are on the ground. If we are going to scoot a little bit forward on the chair, again, please be very careful if it does have wheels, so you can prevent tipping, but moving forward would just be enough that we can use our own posture instead of being relaxed against the back of the chair. So you'll hear me using that cueing occasionally, and pretty much everything else is going to be self-explanatory, so we should be just fine. Now, what I wanted to kind of hone in on today, we'll do in a little mini meditation here at the beginning of our class together. So if everyone can please either find a comfortable seat if you're in a chair or sitting on a mat. You can also lay down if you are on your mat. Feel free to do any of those options. And as we get there, just simply coming into your own breath. So we're not controlling it. We're not doing anything to it. We're just paying attention. No two breaths are the same. No two moments are the same. So just try to stick in this particular moment, using your breath as a little bit of an anchor to this moment by saying like, oh, okay, well, I understand what she's talking about, and let's kind of see what happens. Again, that's a great thing to be able to be mindful, to live in just the present moment, and using your breath to do so is one of the easiest ways. So without really controlling it or saying, okay, I'm going to inhale now or exhale now, you're just simply observing your breath. So go ahead and do that. Maybe even let a slight smile come across your face, just as gratitude for that. And then we're all going to close our eyes, or if you're not comfortable or not able, please feel free to bring your gaze just down to the ground. The reason being is to not have any distractions coming from around you. So it's really to go inward a little bit further than we would be doing without it. So again, closing the eyes or bringing the gaze low. We're going to take one round of lion's breath together, which is a breathing technique. It's going to be in through the nose and out through the mouth. So almost like you're sighing it out at the end. So what I want you to picture is anything that has been burdening you, anything that has been an unnecessary thought pattern or something that you know you should be thinking differently about, but you just can't. Try to hone in on that right now. And on this exhale that we're going to take through our mouth, I'd like you to picture, or at least visualize as best as you can, that darkness, that again, that unuseful information. Picture that being sighed out in front of you, that it's going, it's leaving, it's exiting, and maybe it won't come back. So focus in on that for a moment. Create your own little intention for our class, for what you want to get out of our time together. And regarding not pouring from an empty cup, it's the same situation as when you hear on an airplane for them to demonstrate when the oxygen kind of pops down from the consoles above. And when they do describe that, they always do like to mention that if something should happen, you have a small child or someone who's a bit more helpless that you, of course, do put your mask on first, which is so huge. It's something we don't really do in today's society. Um, so what I want to kind of share here is that it doesn't take a lot for you to replenish your cup. So if your cup is empty, or you feel like you've been running on empty with no additional gasoline required, kind of use this time to realize where that is happening, in what circumstances, with what people, with anything. Just try to hone in on that and almost notice, again, throughout our class, if that's making you a little bit lighter, feeling that it might be coming off of your shoulders after some time. So, what I wanted to talk a little bit about here as we're in this little mini meditation is, again, a few little points. One of them being that you don't actually have to give everything for everyone. So what that means is you do not have to try to impress every single person you meet and take on their own burdens or take anything on top of what you're doing, that people just pile everything onto you a little bit too heavily sometimes. So just know that you do not have to give everything for everyone, which I think is a huge thing. And as you are kind of keeping any of these heavy weights on your shoulders, it's important to practice things like self-care and self-love, and just ways for us to be able to love ourselves first, and again, not pour from that empty cup. So all the way through this, again, I'd like us to go inward a little bit. Instead of seeking things from the outside, we're trying to find that happiness, trying to find that peace on the inside instead. So with all that being said here, we're going to take that lion's breath. So let's go in through the nose, out through the mouth. Totally deflate your belly until you can't let any air out anymore. And as we're in this relaxed, either seated or laying down position, let's make some small movements. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Point and flex your feet. So kind of putting them out in front of you if you're able and just rolling them in circles. And then coming back to this resting pose. So again, my back's against the chair, my feet are on the ground. Those of you who are not in a chair and you are on the floor, you can simply stay laying down as you are and just bring the soles of your feet to the mat with your knees bent. So if you try to reach down with your arms, your heels would be very close to your fingertips. So from the chair, we're just going to simply do the same stretch, but again, seated here. So what we'll do is we're going to cross our left ankle over our right knee. So you can make this easy or difficult. The further away it is from you, the easier it's going to be. The closer you have this foot in toward your body, the harder it's going to be in a lot of cases. So feel free to find whatever spot works, maybe test out both. But ultimately you can hold on to this shin or foot, whatever you want to call it. And then also, again, we're going to flex our right foot or our left foot's toes. So it's almost like that we're standing on the wall to the right of us. Okay, so bringing that left leg and anchoring it down over top of your right knee or right upper thigh. So coming into the stretch here, again, feeling with each exhale that this pose might be opening up a little bit more each time, that you might feel that knee sinking down toward the earth. And same for those who are in chairs. Feel free, or excuse me, chairs and mats rather. We're going to do this all together. So we're going to thread our left arm through this hole that we created in this pose. And then we're just going to interlace our fingers around our knee, around our shin on the right side, or again, behind the back of that right thigh. So figure whichever way you want to go here. And then we're just going to lean ourselves forward a little bit. Our goal, though, is to keep our shoulders on our back. So just make that little adjustment to bring your shoulders back and then try to lean forward as far as you can. You may only go a few inches, just as I only went a few inches here as well, but it just deepens that stretch a little bit more. So we're going to take 2 more big breaths together here. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. One more time. Breathe in and out. Excellent. Slowly release those hands. Sit yourself back up. Uncross that left ankle and then go ahead and just wiggle your legs out just a little bit here. Just to hold on to no tension. Then we're going to cross our right ankle over our left knee. So swapping sides here. Again, one side may feel different than the other, and just know that is totally fine. We're coming into this figure 4 pose on this side. Excuse me there. All right, so what we're going to do from here is the same method. So we're going to bring the right arm down and through here first, and then we're just going to interlace our hands around our shin or knee or back of our left thigh. But simply coming into this pose a little bit more, leaning yourselves forward, trying to keep those shoulders on your back, just guiding down toward your leg with your heart is kind of where we're going with this. So find your spot there. We're going to hold it for about 2 more big breaths. And in your own time, release the hands from wherever they are. Go ahead and sit yourself back up. Wiggle out those legs. Wiggle out those ankles. Great work. And then from where we're at, we're going to come into a little bit of what's called the ragdoll pose, which means that we're going to let our torso hang nice and heavy. From a chair, it's easiest if we come away from the back of it. So you can do it this way, that's fine, but I personally prefer scooting ahead that maybe inch or 2 inches behind me, just so I'm a little further forward in the chair. So we're going to bring our feet a little bit wider than hip width distance here. And as we end up doing this, we're just going to hinge from our waist. So you can use your fingers as a guide right there at that hip crease. And that's where we want to fold from. So you can see the whole top half of my body is staying in a straight line. So that's what we want for this part here. Once we're into the pose, which means that we're simply going to lean down as far as we can. And again, a few options. If you can't go all the way down like that, you can use your arms and just stack them here and use them as a guide, and that's as far as you're going to go. Otherwise, where I would like you to be is to simply let the arms hang and let the head hang down. So that's where we're looking at here. So we're looking to release all the tension in our head, in our neck, and our shoulders, and then just letting the arms hang wherever they may. You may also grab elbow to hand here and just kind of hang out that way. But you can see anytime I lift my own head, how uncomfortable and contorted this looks even more than what it is. But simply letting your head drop is what we want. So find that spot, find wherever you are within this pose. We're going to hold this for about 5 breaths. So feel that here. All right, guys, coming up upon that last breath here. And on your next inhale, let that bring you up to your seated position once again, safely, slowly, and being mindful of our chairs. And of course, those of you on the mat can do that same thing almost, but just by simply folding forward. All right. So from here, we've stretched out a little bit of two things. We stretched out the legs, we've let the spine lengthen out a little bit here, and we let the neck release and the shoulders release, which is huge. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of keep going with that same trend. So what we're going to do next is we're going to bring the sole of our left foot to our inner right thigh. So instead of crossing that ankle over, we're just going to simply bring the sole of this foot into that thigh. So you're not going to have to put as much weight out on that leg. So coming into this version of almost a tree pose here for when you're standing up. Again, this would be a good stretch again into our hips. So just feel free to flutter that leg a little bit. If you'd like that extra weight on the leg, you're more than welcome to use your hand. As you see, I'm using that here. And then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to bring the sole of our foot to the chair. Okay? Sole of the foot to the chair, left foot. Even if just your heels touching, that's fine. Please sit all the way back in your chair so you have as much space as possible. And we're going to come into a little bit of a twist here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hug onto this leg with our right arm, okay? This left arm is going to come behind us. Either use the chair, use the arm of the chair, use something as a guiding point, and we're just going to simply stretch over toward the left. So just hugging on to that left knee, left shin, I should say shin or other. So you can see that I have that hugged in this way, and that's fine. If you want some more action in the arms, you're more than welcome to reach this left arm behind you. And then we're going to release our little twist here. And let's do the same thing on the opposite side. So we're going to bring the sole of our left foot into our right foot rather into our inner left thigh. And from here, simply sitting back, relaxing, fluttering that knee a little bit, maybe using that right hand as a weight. Excellent. And then just bring the sole of the foot to the chair if you are able. We're going to come into this twist. So also just as an offering, if you are unable to do the pose on the opposite side like this, again, your option is you can just simply bring your torso to twist over toward the right or the left if you hadn't done that already. So sorry for being late on that particular cueing. From here, we're going to hug onto our right shin and knee and thigh, and then we're going to twist over here. So left hand is around there giving it a hug. The right hand is behind us. You either reach back, you can use your chair, but as long as we're sitting tall and getting this twist in our torso, that's what we want. So breathing here. And then simply letting go of that stretch, come back to the middle here. Wonderful. And from where we're at here, I'm just going to check the time because I did not get to set that on my watch, so I greatly apologize. Let's see where we're at. Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do now, again, it's just some gentle stretches because I want us to be able to stay still in this moment. Don't mind me as I get a drink of water here. Okay. So what we're going to use now is just some relaxing stretches to go with the mind. So what we're always trying to seek in a lot of cases, especially in our society these days, is objects, belongings, things like that again, are not really defining you. You're just simply buying them probably for aesthetic purposes. So I want us to be able to find stillness. So stillness is such an important thing. We don't do it often enough unless we are a meditator that does these things daily. But what I want us to do here for these next few moments, kind of in the middle of our class, is take a little mini break and sit with your feet on the floor. Feet are about hip width distance apart from you, and really press the soles of the feet into the ground. From here, our upper body relaxes into the chair. Those of you who are on mats, feel free to lay down for this portion, or you can stay seated, whichever position you're better with. But what we're going to do here is close the eyes or bring our gaze down to the floor. And while taking away that one sense, it makes everything else a little bit brighter, a little bit more able to shine forward and be more significant. So what I want you to notice in this moment without moving is what you are considering as this moment. Like, what is it that you are actually thinking right now? What I'd like you to do is kind of formulate that a little bit into words. Let it float away to the side of you or into the sky or off on a detour on the highway, whichever way you want to think of it. Let go of those thoughts. Right now, what I want you to focus in on is, what does the air feel like as you're breathing it? Is it cold, warm? Is there any smell to it? Can you kind of anchor in on what you're feeling as far as touch goes? Like if your hands are on an armchair, hands are on your lap. Pay attention to that for just a moment. And then from there, in our state of stillness, pay attention all the way from the top of your head down to your toes. So all the way down. And just notice if there's any tension. Maybe you may have to do it a few times, but just mentally scanning from the top of your head down to your toes. So notice if you're clenching your jaw, if you're closing your eyes too tightly, whatever that may be, just let that happen, let it go. And just figuring out this whole sense of stillness, of quiet, of time to yourself. So breathing here. Taking about 2 more breaths where we are. Excellent, guys. So from here, we're going to swing our legs out in front of us here and kind of alternate a little bit. So let's go ahead and bring our right leg out in front of us. And if we're in a chair, if you're on a mat, sit up and bring that right leg forward. And from here, we're using our leg, our strength in our leg to help keep this up in the air. So try to keep this leg straight. You might want to put a tiny bend in it if you need. But we're going to bring our toenails toward our face here to flex that foot like we're standing on the wall to the front of us here. So extending that leg out. And then we're going to simply fold over it. So go ahead and walk your fingertips down. You may only come down a couple inches, just as I had. You may feel some trembling in your leg. Just know that that means that your strength is growing, which is a good thing. And then bring that leg down. Same thing on the opposite side here. We're just going to extend that left leg long. Let it hang out there for just a second. And then we're going to walk our hands down that leg and stretch forward over the left leg. Then we're going to slowly release that leg, release our stretch. And coming back to this seated position here, this comfortable against the back of the chair seated position. Those of you who, are still on the ground, I would encourage you to sit up at this point. That'll be the most helpful for you. So just sitting however you are comfortable on the ground. And we're going to twist the torso. We're going to sit up just a little bit away from the back of the chair. You can just kind of scoot ahead an inch or two, and I literally do mean an inch or two here. You can gladly do that. We're going to twist from side to side here, but we're going to keep our hips just as they are. So we're going to not move our legs or our knees. So we're going to stretch over toward the left first. So swing that left arm back behind you as much as you can. swing your right hand out as well. And we're just going to give ourselves this twist over. So we're not using any leverage. We're just simply using our body. So twisting to the left first, then come back through the middle, twist to the right. Go ahead and come back to the middle, to the left, back over to the right. And one more each side. Go ahead and swing yourself to the left and then the right. Perfect. Bring your hands back down to your laps here. We're going to come into a form of cat and cow pose here. So cat and cow is rounding and arching the spine. So I'll go sideways for this one just so you can see that. So every exhale we're going to take, we're going to round out our stomach, bring our belly button in toward our spine. Let our chin drop down heavy. Let the head drop. And when we inhale, we can kind of use our hands on our legs or knees at this point to do so. But for the next one, we're going to swoop our chest a little bit forward, come into a little mini back bend, bringing our shoulders onto our back, bringing our gaze up toward the sky. And then as we exhale, we're going to go ahead back into that cat. So round out your shoulders, bring your chin into your chest, curl into this little U shape that you're creating. And then on our next inhale, go ahead and arch the spine, bring your chin and your head up, bring your gaze up toward the sky. 3 more with our own pace. So exhaling, finding that cat and rounding our spine. Inhale, puff out the belly, puff out the chest, shoulders come back, tip the head up. 2 more. All right, excellent, everyone. Coming back into stillness here now. Where we're going is going to be some standing stretches at that. So what we're going to do is we're all going to stand up for these. So all of us are going to stand up and we're going to do a little bit of balance. I'm just going to check my time once again here. Okay, good. Wonderful. All right, so what we're going to do from here is we're going to use our chair as a stabilizer. So the chair's not going fully away. We're just going to have ourselves stand for a few moments. So the first one that I want us to kind of attempt would be what I would consider to be called either Warrior 3 or Standing Split. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to roll the chair in front. Again, I'm going to use either the back of the chair or the seat of the chair. I find the seat is a lot more accessible and it feels less likely to tip. So that might be where you're going to be in this one. Otherwise, the back of the chair is fine as well. So I'll show you both ways here to the side here. So we're going to end up doing it on both legs. And what we're going to use it as is, again, chair is going to be our anchor. You place your hands there. And then we're just going to go ahead and kick our left leg behind us first. So we're using our chair. I'm right in the middle of it here. So it's not going anywhere. But flexing these toes like we're standing to the wall behind us. Putting a little bend in this right knee. And then on our exhale, put that foot back down. And we're going to ragdoll here as well. So you can use one hand on the chair if you really want that stability. But otherwise, our feet are going to be a bit about hip width distance. And we're just going to simply let our head hang. So you can keep your hands on the chair if you wish and just let that happen. Or you can bring hands off, maybe 1, maybe 2, and let yourself really fold into the pose and feel the whole weight of your head. So either of those options are perfectly fine. Breathe here wherever you landed. Let's inhale, stand ourselves back up nice and slowly just so we don't get too lightheaded. Shake out anything you may need to or have a seat for a moment if you need. And then ultimately we're doing the same thing on the opposite side. So we'll be using our left leg as our standing leg here. and kicking our right leg behind us, okay? So hands for me are in the center of the chair for stability. And I'm going to kick that right leg behind. Okay, so right leg goes behind us here. We're flexing those toes. We're keeping our hips spread off toward the ground and not opening up to the side. Take 2 more breaths. Put a bend in that left knee if you need. On your last exhale, go ahead and bring that foot back down. We're going to find that same ragdoll pose once again. So maybe back up away from your chair a little bit. Bring your hands to the chair still if you need, and let your head come falling through. Hanging out here for just another moment. And then slowly, almost like you're just waking up from a really long nap, we're going to keep our chin to our chest. That's going to be the last thing to rise. So picture the bottom of your spine and just rolling all the way up to standing using every vertebrae. So once again, meeting here. And we're going to come back to the seat of our chair again, or on our mat. So coming back into our movement here, into our seat. Doing a few last gentle stretches for our class. So come into that comfortable pose. Again, those on mats can be seated or lying down. And let your back relax against the back of the chair on the ground itself. And feel that stillness once again. Notice if it feels any different. Stretching out the sides of our body here, let's let our left arm kind of dangle to our side and bring our right arm high over top of our head. We're going to stretch over toward the left, so let that arm be a little bit of a weight and really stretch with this left arm, almost that you're swiveling your palm to be facing behind you to help open up that shoulder and chest. Gaze may come over to the right. Inhale and come back to center, swap it out. Let that right arm drop down, reach over top of the head with the left. Gaze may come up toward that left arm. Coming back into center here, into neutral. And then just simply setting our hands on our lap here. Coming back to stillness again for a moment. And as far as stretching goes here, we're just going to do a few more and then we'll go into our Shavasana, our resting pose of our ending pose of our class. So from where you are, we're just going to roll the neck. So bring chin to chest, right ear to right shoulder, head drops behind, and then left ear to left shoulder. Once you've gone a few times in one direction, swap it out. So if you haven't done so yet, swap out, do a few circles in the opposite direction, and then come back up to neutral. We're then going to bring our right arm over top of our head. Bring that palm of the hand over toward your left ear and just give a gentle tug, gentle weight from that hand on our neck. Then coming back into center, release that hand and bring the left arm over top toward that right ear. And then go ahead and just give yourself that little stretch over to the left. Perfect. Unleash that here. And now simply nodding the head. So let's nod our head yes, but big yeses all the way back, all the way down. And then twisting the head from side to side. Wonderful. So coming into our final resting pose or class, or Shavasana as it's called. So lay down into your mat or lay down onto your chair, or sit down or relax into your chair, I should say. And from where we're at, a few things to be able to share with you this morning. Again, know that you do not have to give everything for everyone. Don't take on too much. Learn to delegate and share responsibilities. Provide yourself with self-care. Taking any heavy weight off of your shoulders that's not necessary. Learn more about yourself along the way. And really go inward and find that stillness that we found a few times during class together. So a few quick quotes that I'd like to share with you. Pico Iyer had said, "In an age of movement, nothing is more critical than stillness." So keeping that in mind as we notice today what feeling still feels like. And also by the Buddha, he had said, if you are quiet enough, you will hear the flow of the universe. You will feel its rhythm. So finding that rhythm in that stillness, being able to let go, to forgive, to just simply care for yourself after that forgiveness has occurred. So simply coming back into the room, back into the moment. If your mind has wandered, bring it back to my voice. Let's make some movements of wiggling the toes and fingers. Move the wrists, move the ankles, the arms, the legs. And from here, having a full body stretch, stretch your arms high above your head, point your toes in front of you even if you wish. And then we're going to come into our last seated pose. So sitting up here, use your posture if you're able. But otherwise, if you're on the ground, come back to that comfortable seated position, whatever that may look like for you. And we're going to bring our hands into our heart here. So right into our sternum. And that is the center of love, the center of gratitude. I hope you all are able to find some stillness, some self-love, some self-care, and really to just be able to let go and be the best version of you that's here in this moment. So let's all bow forward, thank ourselves, thank each other. Namaste. So thank you very much, everyone here at Safe Harbor. I appreciate everything that you allow for me to do for you. If you should have questions, forward them to Sarah, but otherwise I will see you all next week. Take care.